Me, 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 me. Mo, mo, moo, 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 moo. Mo, me, moo. Mo, me, moo. How do I get out of that stupid thing? I'm trapped! I'm trapped in the user settings, the Discord user settings. I don't know how to get out. Ah, escape. There we go. Oh, moo. I'll be loving you always with a love that's true. Always. When the things you've planned need a helping hand, I will understand. Always. 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 Days will not be fair. Always. That's when I'll be there always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always. Hey, ho, hey, hello, whoa, whoa, what's up, toe? I got 10 of them, and we're live! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trapped in my guitar. Give me 1 second here. Woo! Woo-wee! What's going on? What's going on? Ooh, yeah, all right. Hello, yes, hello, wow, yes, we are live. My name is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I'm here with my talented friend. Well, no, this isn't. That's a lie. I'm not Harlan. I am Justin, and I'm tired of keeping that a secret. All right? I'm Justin Thomas James, and I'm here to read to you. So let's do some reading. All right? What do you say? I don't have any sound effects. There you go. It's just like Harlan does. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I'm seeing lots of people here. See, we got Anne Hathaway here. She's doing the same thing over and over again. Oh, no, that's a GIF. Never mind. Oh, we got Colin Burkhardt. We got Zia. We got Carly. We got Mike Kyle. We got Wooba Wizard, who's Christopher. We got Brianna and Michael. We got... Oh, I already said Mike Kyle, I think. Yeah. We got Abe Hughes. We got Carly. I see Carly up in the chat there. Welcome, everybody. It's been a long time since I did a Justin Reset. I was on the stream, I think, last month sometime, doing one-shot dungeon type thing, with Harlan ran the game, and I played myself, and I was here, but I miss you guys. I do miss you guys. Hello, Nizdor. Welcome. Yeah, I do miss you guys. I have been very busy. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with me after I take a little sip of this tea. So my life right now is essentially dice shame, editing and sound effects, and making games and stuff like that, and then narrating audiobooks, but actually more so. Preparing the platform. Sound Booth Theater is coming out with a platform at the end of July, where we're going to be selling our own. It's going to be our own storefront, sell our own products on it. So that's been taking up a lot of time because we're working with the developers and we're making sure that all of the projects get done on time. And there's just a lot of moving parts that we're like, okay, everybody's got to be done by this date. So we got to make sure that everything works properly. And there was lots of emails back and forth. And it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But yes, good things. All good things, nevertheless. And living a wonderful life here in Toronto, meeting wonderful people despite the COVID pandemic. Yeah. So, how are you guys all doing? What's going on with you? I see. I noticed. I know that last time Abe Hughes started a little creative writing crew, and also I will say that apologize for the last minute delay, the last minute delay, like me being half an hour late. That is entirely my fault for losing track of time. But also for just posting this morning. Hey, I'm doing a Justin Reed. So you guys didn't really have a chance to get anything prepared potentially, but there will be more of these. Don't you worry. There will be more. So keep on writing. Keep on writing, and there's a chance, that the next one might be just like, "Hey, Justin, we need something tonight. Can you jump in with the Justin's reads?" And that's how we'll get it done. Harlan doesn't really plan these things out with a schedule because he wants to do the strange. Like that takes priorities. But something came up today that is very good news, and I won't be the one to share what the news is, but it's very good news. So. Anyways, we'll do some reading. We got 10 people here in the chat. I think we got 10 people on the Discord. But if you're watching this and you would like to say hello, please say hello. I would love to see your voice and I would like to see your voice in text. That's what I am most interested in. Jessica. Hello, Jessica. We miss you. And I used the British we, the royal we, in that because I can. That's another thing I've been busy with. I've been knighted, or no, I haven't been knighted. I'm a king. I'm basically a king. Which eyebrow's my left on? That one. Ooh. It's weird doing this with the delay, because I keep on thinking that the right one's up when the left one is. Okay. Oh, Marvin's here. Party's starting. All right, so we got a couple of submissions here. Let me check it out here. Let's see. We got a few that were sent to me on Facebook. If you have a story that you would like to submit tonight, send it over to me on Facebook or leave a link here in the Discord chat. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I'm just going to read this message quickly. Okay. I will reply to your message as soon as I finish the stream here, Brianna. But that's very exciting. And Mike Kyle sent a story. Oh, wonderful. That is perfect. Thank you, Kyle. We didn't have too many submissions. I figured that the last minute kind of rush would have an impact on how many people submitted. So yeah, I think it's good if you guys can have some of this stuff just hiding in your back pocket. Then that would be great. For moments like these. But obviously, it'll be nice to have a session where we're we know, you guys have a week in advance, and then people who don't have anything can prepare for it. So, what do we got? We got Homecoming by Michael Kyle, and then we also have one from Abe Hughes. I know. There he is. The Darkness on the Plain. Oh, that sounds fun. Okay. So this is good. This is good. So I'm thinking maybe I'll start with Abe's The Darkness on the Plain. This is okay. Great, 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 great. I'm wondering, should I read the ending part first? I think I'm going to read the setup. Oh, maybe not. Do you have any direction for me there, Abe, on how you'd like me to read this, just top to bottom? Today is community written, but we've only got 2 submissions, so feel free to make a request there, Colin. If the script is available and I don't need to buy it, if you've got it, or we can find it online, then yeah, top to bottom is fine. Okay, let's do that. So to start us off, we have The Darkness on the Plain by Abe Hughes. And let me just get a little more comfortable here. There we go. All right, here we go. This is the introduction to a Call of Cthulhu scenario I being Abe, was working on for a group of friends. It includes some info for them to understand a little bit about the feel of the scenario and some background for their characters, but is designed not to give anything away. Okay. The Darkness on the Plain. The sun is oppressive on the plain, even in the spring. Dylan Morrow breathes in hot, dry air as he wipes beads of sweat from his brow, leaving his forehead streaked with the black oil from his hands. He curses under his breath and reminds himself of how much better this heat is compared to the cold of the Chicago meatpacking plant during the previous winter. "Go ahead and grab a few sips from the canteen," his boss, Bill, calls to him from beneath the busted oil pump. "I've got this for the time being. I'll call you back over if she starts leaking again. Go ahead." Dylan worries about Bill's intentions for a minute. He's just hired a hand in the oil fields here, but he wants to keep the job. He doesn't want to be thought of as useless, like he was back at the meatpacking plant. "Thanks, Bill," he says as he walks over to the gray Williams Oil pickup truck and takes the canteen from the driver's seat. The water's hot, but soothes his throat as it washes down. His eyes rest on the hole the drill has been pulled out of. They barely made it 10 feet in before the motor on the drill gave out. After 2 hours of tinkering, the rest of the crew left, but Bill stayed behind, figuring he could get the motor ready for when they showed up in the morning. Dylan stayed behind to help and try to carry favor with the higher-ups. The hole looks dark and cool. Dylan, without thinking, reaches into the truck and turns on the radio, which greets him with the plucky tones of Fats Domino's Blueberry Hill. I'll play it on guitar. "I get my thrill, do-do-do-do-do, on Blueberry Hill, do-do-do-do." The song is gentle and makes Dylan daydream, looking back towards the town he can just make out from the oil fields. It would almost be picturesque, except for the dark hill with the large radio antenna rising out of it. He imagines he can see the notes Fats is playing, swimming over the air from that large antenna. As his head becomes almost deliriously empty of serious thought, he thinks he hears Bill's name on the wind and turns around. The drill, left unattended, drips black oil into the earth. Bill is nowhere to be seen. How long had he been staring off into the distance? It couldn't have been more than a minute, he thinks to himself. Dylan reaches back into the truck and turns the radio off. "Hey, Bill, where'd you get off to?" he calls out to the empty scene. He peers around the truck and the large drill, but Bill is nowhere to be found. From the back of his mind, a dark thought answers his question. The hole sits silently in the ground, cold and unyielding to his questioning looks. He goes over to the toolbox where he knows a large flashlight was kept, pulls it out. He flicks the proud metal switch and casts the yellow shaft of light down the hole. To his surprise, the hole seems to connect to a larger tunnel which he can't see it into. "Bill? You down there?" His voice reverberates from the shaft, but nothing answers him back. For a moment, he looks around nervously, hoping Bill will pop out from behind a bush or some other prop left on the plains. Dylan takes another breath and thinks about it. If Bill is playing a trick on him by getting into the hole, he'd have a hell of a time getting out again on his own. Feeling pleased with this reasonable deduction, he walks back to the truck and grabs a long rope from the bed. He ties it around the well-planted feet of the drill and throws the other end into the dark void of the hole. Nothing happens for the moment as he lets the rope sit in the hole, hoping Bill will realize his folly and crawl out on his own. But Bill doesn't come out of the cold, dark place. Dylan realizes he must go in after him. So he gets down and sits down on the edge, takes a moment, and hops down into the darkness. A light gust blows loose dirt around, making ghostly spirals in the air, and there's almost complete silence except for the oil dripping from the motor of the drill. Suddenly, there's the sound of scuffling feet, and the rope gets pulled tight. Dylan scrambles out of the hole covered from head to toe in a dark, oily liquid. He flies like a shot to the truck where he scrambles around looking for the keys, his brain reverting to a lizard-like thought process, its only signal being escape. His hands feel around the nooks and crannies of the cabin frantically. Finally, trying to pull apart the ignition in an attempt to remember what an old crony friend of his taught him about hot wiring, unable to find any keys. In this one final coherent moment, the rope goes taut again, and he can see it from the corner of his vision. Abandoning the truck, he runs down the empty dirt road back towards town, his only concern moving away from the dark hole. Eventually, the gallop of his feet fades away, and even the drill's motor runs out of oil and goes silent. But from inside the truck, the substance Dylan was covered in drips from where he smothered it on the steering wheel, and in the bright, hot sun, it shows a tint of red. The theme for this scenario is kinda like American Graffiti meets It, but please don't let that description guide your choices. You are not trying to play this out like a character in a movie would. I've created 4 characters which I hope will complement each other and make the gameplay a little more balanced than previous games. Some tasks might be better suited to a particular player, so look at your character sheets and keep in mind the skills they are strongest in. These characters are based around basic teen movie stereotypes, jock, nerd, etc., which is the basis for what skills they have, kind of like a class in D&D. 5 friends: Harry Einziger, Lois Harp, Billy Smith, and Zeke Williams and Hank Collins are seniors at Moores Plain High School and are getting together for one of the last times before they all graduate and go their separate ways. That is, if they can survive the night. They are meeting up before the dance at the home of the Einzigers so they can arrive together. They will be taking Harry's parents' car, as his parents don't approve of Zeke's prized rat rod, Betsy. Hank Collins is suspiciously absent from the meetup. The group: Harry Einziger, nerd, book smart, wears glasses and can't see very well. If you need to know something, there's a good chance Harry is your man. Just don't expect him to take charge and be fearless. Lois Harp, tomboy. Lois's father is Police Chief Jerry Harp. Her mother died many years ago and has been raised solely by her father. She is very strong-willed and an aspiring detective. Zeke Williams, greaser, farm boy. Zeke has grown up on the outskirts of town on the farm his family has owned since the time of the town's founding. He's a bit of an outsider to most kids in the town, but the group accepts him, His prized possession is his rat rod Betsy. He's a great mechanic and strong from working on the farm. Billy Smith, jock. Billy's family is one of the most wealthy in town. He's a great athlete, charming and good-looking, but not very bright. He can be a bit of a bully sometimes, too. If you need some persuading done one way or another, Billy can get it done. Hank Collins, Boy Scout, NPC. Hank is a trustworthy, all-American kid who is the de facto leader of the group. He works at the local library after school and is always volunteering for stuff. There we go. So there is the scenario. Thank you very much, Abe Hughes. That was a nice little intro vignette. Going into the hole. Yeah, voila. So, bum-ba-da-ba-dum. Gonna have some more tea. What'd you guys think? Zia, I saw you reacting to him going into the hole there. How are you feeling? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Never go in the hole. Call the cops. Jesus. Yes. You're not wrong. But hey, it's fun. It's interesting. All right, let's move on to the next story. This is The Homecoming by Michael Kyle. That's true, Abe. This is true. Hitchcock knew a thing or two about horror movies. I'm going to try to do a little bit of smoke. I'm going to add some smoke to this character's voice. Let's see, what am I looking at here? Wait, no. No, I think. Okay, so the kids. So he's younger, I think. Dull. Zia would like something to be dull overdone. Zia, would you like your horror movies just to be just like nothing bad happens? Just everybody stays inside when they're supposed to, runs when they're supposed to. Calls the cops when they're supposed to. I'd like to see a movie like that. A horror movie that's just like everybody's super smart and then the bad guy just fails. Smart but killed anyway. Gotcha. All right, well, here we go. Let's move on to the Homecoming. The Homecoming by Michael Kyle. The last time I saw Anne Marie Johnson, she disappeared in a blinding swirl of December snow and the crackling of ice. From the first time we met, which was at the age of 5, we were inseparable. She was my first love. It was one of those infatuations that kids develop what you would call puppy love. It wasn't one of those. It was more than that. Sure, some people might say that this sounds like a load of bull because we were so young and therefore unable to make such a strong emotional bond, but the feelings were there. My mother and father were originally from Parkville, Indiana, but moved to Albion, Michigan after they were married. My dad lost his job, and they both decided to move the family back in hopes of finding another one. It was summer then, and I would be starting school in a couple of months. I was nervous about making new friends and spent much of the time moping around, feeling homesick. I didn't actually meet Anne Marie until a few weeks before school started because her family was on vacation. She'd noticed me sitting on the porch with my head in my hands and came over to talk to me. "What are you doing there? Nobody's lived there for a long time," she said. I jumped because I'd been staring at my shoes and hadn't noticed her walking up to me. "We just moved here," I said once I recovered from the start. "My name's Anne Marie. I live right next door." "My name's John." "So? Where did you move from?" "Michigan. My dad lost his job and we had to move." "I've never been to Michigan." "Do you miss it?" "Yeah. I miss all my friends. There aren't that many kids around here to play with." "Well, I'll be your friend," she said. Just then her mom came out to call her for dinner. She stopped walking when she was almost to the porch and turned around. "Nice to meet you, John," she said, and walked into the house. The next 5 years were wonderful. We explored the woods that grew close by, swam in the pond out behind our houses, and had our first kiss in my treehouse. In the winter, we would go sledding or ice skating. She was a talented skater, but never made me feel bad about my fumbling attempts to stay on my feet. When one of us had chores, we would leave notes on the sidewalk with chalk to let each other know where we'd be. "I'm at the park. Meet me at the pond. I'm in the treehouse." That all ended a few days before Christmas, when we were 10. It had been warm the past week and a half, and our parents told us to stay away from the pond because the ice might not be strong enough to hold out weight. If only we'd listened. I had to clean my room and help my mom with the laundry that day, and by the time I got outside, Anne Marie was gone. There was a stick stuck into the snow, and a message was scrawled beside it telling me to meet her at the pond, so I hurried down there as fast as I could. It was snowing a little when I came out by that time, but by that time I got to the pond, it was really coming down. I saw her red coat through the large flakes when I was a few yards away. I slowed down so I could enjoy watching her glide around on the ice. She just completed a turn when she saw me and waved. "Hey, Slowpoke! What took you so long?" I told her. "Did your mom and dad say it was okay to be on the ice?" "They don't know I'm here. Besides, it's snowing. The ice should be thick enough." She never got to finish the rest of the word. At that moment, there was a loud crack, and she was gone. She didn't even have a chance to scream. I just stood there for a moment, trying to process what had just happened, then ran screaming back to the house. My dad and Mr. Johnson were in the garage working on my dad's snowblower and came out when they heard my screams. My dad took me by the shoulders and said, John, what's wrong?" I told them between sobs, and they ran back into the garage and came out with some rope and a canoe my dad had bought the summer before. "Go tell your mom. Have her call 911, Dad yelled, and they dragged the canoe to the pond at a dead run, but by the time they got there, it was too late. They dragged Anne Marie's blue and dripping corpse out of the pond 2 hours later. The Johnsons never blamed me for what happened, but I still carry the guilt around inside. I just felt like there was something I could have done, even when there wasn't. They buried their daughter 3 days later and moved away a few months after that. We never heard from them again. I guess that they couldn't bear to live in that house anymore. The years passed, and I tried to forget what happened, with varying degrees of success. I fell in and out of love several times, but nothing ever came close to touching what Anne Marie and I had shared. I got married 4 years after I graduated from high school and moved away. Joan and I had our boy, John, got married 4 years John Evans III, 4 years after that. Mom and Dad died in a car accident when John was 5, and I was laid off from my job when the company I was working for decided that it could make more money by having people overseas do it. Dad had had the foresight to draw up a will and left me the house. Since job prospects were bad, we decided to move back to Parkville and take possession of the house. I felt bad for John, having to leave his friends behind at that age. I knew just how he was feeling, having been through the same thing myself. I was surprised to see how much Parkville had changed over the years. The stores were all different. The woods were gone. There seemed to be more people than before. The old house seemed the same, though. The pond was still there, too. I got a shiver up and down my spine the first time I saw it, but didn't understand why at the time. Nor did I understand why I refused to let John play around it. We settled into our new lives okay. Joan got a nursing job at Parkville Memorial Hospital, and I got a supervising job at a factory. It was at the same place my dad had retired from 6 years before. We made friends with a few of the neighbors and enjoyed a lot of barbecues and parties. John soon got over his loneliness and made new friends. He seemed to be adjusting to the move pretty well. Things were good. Until one day, 5 years later, when John told me about his new girlfriend. Where does she live? She lives next door. What's she like? She's really nice. She's my age, a little taller than me, and has long brown hair and brown eyes. She's really pretty. Sounds really serious, I teased. Oh, it is, he said, and the seriousness in which he said it made me laugh. So, what's her name, big guy? I asked. Her name's Marie. For some reason, the name gave me a jolt. I tried my best not to show it. John started spending more and more time away from home after that, and I never thought to question why we never got to meet his new girlfriend. Joan and I kept meaning to go next door to meet her family, but something kept coming up. I was down the street one day helping my neighbor Ron winterize his house one day when he said, So, how's John getting along? Diane and I haven't seen him around here lately, and Jim's been wondering why he hasn't been over. Jim was their 10-year-old. He said that he has a girlfriend, I said with a laugh. When's the last time he was here? Oh, a couple of weeks. What's the girl's name? He said her name was Marie. I don't know any kids around here named Marie. Where does she live? I told him, and he gave me a funny look. There's nothing living there, buddy. It hasn't been for years. People just don't like that place for some reason. You must have gotten it wrong. You sure? Yep. The people that lived there before you lost their boy in an accident in the pond behind your house. He drowned. They moved away right after that. That was about 6 years ago. It's been empty ever since. Joan and Diane came out with sandwiches and hot coffee a minute later, and the conversation was forgotten. That was 2 months ago. John's gotten more secretive about his new girlfriend. Nothing we've done to try and draw him out has worked. I started seeing messages written in chalk on the sidewalk and later in the snow. It made me nervous, but I didn't understand why until today. That's her. Anne-Marie. She's back, and she wants my son. I went outside to shovel the walk a minute ago and saw a message scrawled into the snow that made my blood run cold. Meet me at the pond. We can go skating. I'm running as fast as I can now. The ground is slippery and treacherous, and I'm cursing myself for getting so out of shape. The snow is coming down heavier, too. I can just make out John's footprints. God, I hope I'm not too late. There you have it. The Homecoming by Michael Kyle. Thank you, Michael. That gave me chills. Wait. Very nice, very nice. All right. So we got one more, we got another suggestion. Let's keep them going. I don't have too much juice in me tonight. I am well looking forward to a nice early night sleep. But yeah, I can do a couple more, I think. Camping. We got one suggestion from Colin Burkhart. Oh, hello, Thundermoth. Oh, let's see. Peter North here. Old. Oh, wow. Hello, Peter North. Old adult. I've heard the name Peter North. I think I know that name. There's a there's a comment on the YouTube chat. Peter North. I've definitely heard that name. I've definitely heard the name Peter North. So welcome. All right. Well, onwards. We got a story recommended by Colin Burkhart on No Sleep. It's called Camping in the Ozarks by homicidal _ hominid. Hominid. I love camping. I always have. Back where I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, you'd have to make a decent drive to find a good secluded place to camp. That's the key to a successful trip, you know. You have to find a spot that's off on its own, away from the visitor center and all the first-time campers that tend to litter the site with cans and wrappers. I'm also an avid horror buff, and as such, I'm aware that secluded camping usually leads to slasher massacres or witch hauntings or goat men attacks, at least in the stories and movies. Of course, they're just that, right? Stories, movies. But then, every one of those tales also stars a skeptic. I left Kentucky at the end of high school to attend college in Arkansas. You see, my mother had gone to school there, and they provided a generous scholarship of in-state tuition of general graduates, even if they came from a couple states away. Going to school in the Ozarks as a camping addict is fantastic. You wouldn't believe all the amazing spots there are to pitch a tent and enjoy nature at its purest. The Ozark National Forest, Devil's Den, Ouachita Park, and just dozens more. America's most obese state is an ironic haven for hikers and campers alike. Is that Missouri? Wait, what is that? Arkansas? Arkansas is the Ozarks? Oh, okay. Jared was kind of like our leader. He was the guy that always knew a spot, no matter where we were camping. He had this map completely tattooed in markings and directions to all the most breathtaking areas. When we went to a new spot, or at least a spot that was new to him, he would mark it on the map in either green if the spot was good, or red if the spot was shitty. There were marks in other colors as well, different ones, but they're few and far between. He also marks the directions to each spot in the highlighter. Jared looked the part too. Long-haired, granola-style hippie with a sleeve of tats and a couple of earrings in each ear. But our walking stereotype was the best of the best when it came to camping, and his information was rarely secondhand. So when he burnt up the group message running his mouth about a new spot his cousin found a couple hours south, we all cleared our schedules. I mean, how often were we all new to a location? We all met up at our buddy Kyle's house to pack the truck with supplies. Kyle's dad was pretty wealthy, and as a gift for raising his GPA to a 3.0, his father had bought him a brand new Ford F-150 to hopefully keep his academic train rolling. My roommate and I showed up first, along with the cooler full of beer, as a peace offering to Kyle for driving. We weren't technically legal, but Allie was only a month or two away, and she had a pretty killer fake, so we rationalized it morally, just as we had been doing for years. Austin was next, with his 5-6-person tent and a Sam's Club bulk of beef jerky, and Jared arrived last. Just so you know, we abide by general road trip rules in this truck, Kyle barked, sliding into the front seat and bringing the engine to life. So I don't want to hear a single complaint about my music choice. I snorted. New truck, new rules. I vote we make some amendments. Seriously, I'm not listening to fucking Trap the whole ride. Oh, seriously, I'm not listening to fucking Trap the whole ride, Austin laughed. You morons have no appreciation for my tastes. Eventually, we decided on a rotation and pulled out of his driveway to head to Jared's cousin's spot, a place called Creek Bend. Apparently, it wasn't well known enough to be on the entire damn internet, so we navigated there pre-2003 style, the old-fashioned way. The trip went quick, and after 3 hours of listening to Kyle's trap and an assorted mix of alternative, we pulled up the main road and onto a dirt trail somewhere in southern Arkansas. We drove for another half hour or so before... Another half hour or so before the trail abruptly ended. Oh, this is all right, Jared chuckled with a smile. Let's grab the shit and get set up. I don't want to be fumbling with the tent in the dark. We followed Jared through the brush for a bit until we reached a gorgeous clearing. The mountains rose up all around us, and the mid-autumn trees set the world ablaze. The setup didn't take long, and soon we had the tent in perfect shape and a roaring fire. We'd been shooting the shit for an hour or so, enjoying the sunset and roasting hot dogs, when Allie asked the question we had all been wondering. How'd your cousin even find this place? Allie asked, sipping her beer. Jared shrugged. He didn't really. Max frequents this outdoorsy forum, and he says this guy PM'd him the site with pictures. He wanted to check it out first, but he was busy all weekend and knew we would be for breath breaking it in. He took a drink of his own beer. So, here we are. I think it's a pretty good spot. This sounds like the plot to a horror flick, Allie laughed. Random stranger gives coordinates to mystery camping location? Austin grinned. Oh, I dare some psychopath to come take us on. I'd love to see one with 6 holes in his skull. I'd love to see one try with 6 holes in his skull. Jared rolled his eyes. The guy was well known on the site, and I think we're good. But, nice to know you brought your gun. Austin laughed and reclined, flopping back to gaze at the stars. We decided to turn in a bit later, and while we all got ready for bed in the tent, Austin went to take a leak. When he came back, Allie held the zipper shut. Password, she chimed. Oh my God, are you in middle school? Just let me in, Austin groaned. Sorry, rules are rules. Okay, the password. You're all fucking idiots. Let me in. I'm freezing to death. He laughed. Allie giggled, and I threw a look at Jared and Kyle. We all thought they had a thing. Nope, that's not it. Try again. We heard Austin shuffle his feet. God, this is so stupid, he sighed. Please? Come on in, Allie said with a sixth grade smirk. We all slept together when we camped. No, I shouldn't have left. That was bad emphasis. Sorry. We all slept together. When we camped in the fall. No. We all slept together when we camped in the fall or winter, since it was usually pretty cold. Plus, it was easier to bring one tent rather than 5. It wasn't ever weird or uncomfortable, and Kyle usually generated so much heat it would be worth it, even if it were. You know that feeling when you wake up and you're not sure why? Like you can't quite place why you woke up. It's as if you were asleep and then suddenly you just weren't. That's how it was for me, only accompanied by a sense of anxiety. I tossed in my sleeping bag for a moment before I noticed Austin crouched by the exit of the tent, holding the zipper shut. I screwed my vision against the darkness. Austin? Shh! He hissed. I crawled over by him, and he looked at me, eyebrows raised. I think something's outside the tent. Maybe like a bear or something. It woke me up. Should we check the others? I asked. Nah, He hesitated. I'm not worried. Did the sound wake you up too? I shook my head. Oh. Well, it brushed up against the tent but by my face, and that's what woke me up. Thought maybe it had jarred you awake too. It sounded pretty big, like He was interrupted by shuffling outside the tent. It did sound big. We looked at each other, and I kicked the others awake. "What the fuck, guys?" Kyle groaned. Jared shushed him, and we all listened again. More shuffling, closer to the tent this time. Austin had his hand on his bag, ready to grab the gun if it was a bear, which seemed pretty unlikely for Arkansas. We'd been camping for years, and we'd never seen a bear. Austin squinted through the mesh. "Guys," he whispered, "I don't think it's a bear." As if in response, whatever was outside moved directly in front of the zipper. Its voice was choppy, garbled, and sounded just like Austin. "Please," it stuttered. "Please, please, 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 let me in." "Holy shit," Jared whimpered. Austin, even in the dark, paled. More shuffling. "I'm freezing. Please, please let me in. Let me in. Let me in." It rasped in Austin's voice. "Who's out there?" Austin barked, his own voice carrying all the fear he tried to hide. "Who's out there?" the thing replied. "Who's in there?" It mimicked Austin's tones for each word, making the sentences improperly meshed together. "I said, who is out there? I said, who's out there? I have a gun!" Austin's voice betrayed his terror even more this time. Kyle and I looked at each other, and Allie started to shake. We knew this wasn't a person. I had read all the stories, watched the movies. This wasn't human, whatever it was. "Gun! Gun! Gun!" It was like it was trying the word out, like a fucked up learning by phonics lesson. "Let me in! I'm freezing to death! Please, please, please!" it moaned. The voice sounded more together this time as it got the hang of Austin's voice. Kyle crawled forward and slammed both his hands on the mesh. "No! Go away!" he shouted. Rapid shuffling in place. "No, no, 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 no!" It screamed in a butchered version of Kyle. "No, please let me in! I'm freezing!" Then, in a combined voice of dozens of people, "I'm starving!" Austin choked back a sob and ripped his gun from his pack. "No!" Jared hissed. "Austin, stop! You don't—" He fired it through the mesh, emptying the chamber. An otherworldly shriek pierced the stagnant air as the shuffling retreated. "To the car! Now!" Jared hissed. "You shouldn't have done that, Austin," he added, unzipping and ducking out the flap. We all followed behind, blindly stumbling after Jared, leaving all the stuff behind with whatever the hell was back there. I could hear it giving chase. It broke through the trail somewhere far behind us, awkward gait crashing through the trees and bush. We reached the car, clambering in, most of us crying. I turned in my seat as Kyle revved the engine to life, searching the tree line. Its body was illuminated by the moon as it emerged from the brush. It must have been 9 feet tall, skin white as the light that revealed it. Its form was like a distorted human's, an unsettlingly long, thick torso with bony, unnaturally thin limbs protruding it. The legs were short, and I wondered just how it managed to stay standing on such weak-looking extremities. Its arms were equally thin, but long enough to drag along the ground as it walked. It had human-like hands, 4 elongated fingers, and a claw-like thumbnail in place of the digit. Its head was a darkness all its own. It was disproportionate for one. Its mouth took up almost the entire face and was filled with teeth of varying shapes and sizes. It had no nose, but its eyes glinted, all pupil, in the bright light of the moon. Just under its chin was a large sac, like a tumor or blister. It hung nearly to its shoulder and pulsed with every shriek and moan it gave. Kyle floored the pedal, and we peeled down the trail. It watched as we flew down the road, completely still, and gave one final scream as we disappeared from sight. We were silent the entire ride home. The only sound was Jared's shaking hands as he pulled out the map and drew a purple X through Creek Bend. I still camp sometimes, but only at the visitors' areas. The 5 of us haven't been out there together since. I wonder about Jared's map sometimes. There were other markings on it, more than just red, green, and Creek Bend's purple. Sometimes I wonder what else he's seen. He is a pretty avid camper. Boom. There you go. Well, that was intense. Shit. I totally forgot about, totally forgot about my Texas accent there. Not Texas, Southern accent. I don't know what accent that was. That was not Kentucky, probably. But yeah, wow. That was definitely intense. Great recommendation there, Colin. All right. Well, then. That's 3 titles for you. I feel like it's a short one, but my throat's getting kind of tired, and I'm wrapping up my tea here, and my eyes are getting heavy. So I think I'm going to call it. It's going to be a short and sweet sort of session tonight. But thank you guys all for coming. And this is Justin Reads. We're going to be doing more of these, and I love the community editions. Mike Kyle, Abe Hughes, thank you so much for your submissions, and I'd love to get more next time. So if you are a budding creative author, if you want to try, this, we have a chat, a creative writing chat just above this that you can join, and you can communicate in there. Oh, Hinizdur had something. Oh, this is something I wrote. Oh, I did. Okay, I did not see this. I'm just looking at the creative writing chat. 5-year anniversary. Why don't we end it? Let's end it on like a sweet, touching note. So this is an entry from Hinizdur, and so he says, "This is something I wrote about a month ago. It was the 5-year anniversary of her passing. Not sure if it's any good. Well, let's give it a read." Oh, it looks like it's a poem. Doesn't look like it's horror, so we can all calm down. We can get out of the frightened mindset. People say, live life to the fullest. Yet some days it can be the cruelest. There's not much in life I regret, but there's one for sure I won't forget. I knew you for only a short time, and those days spent were just sublime. Your smile alone could lift anyone's spirit. I just wished for one more visit. Had I known that you would expire, I would have said how much I admire, to put it simply, that you were special. I pray you're well amongst the celestial. When I reminisce, the tears do swell. For the greatest regret of a lost farewell. That was beautiful, Ms. Door. Very nice. Thank you for writing that. Healing words. Healing words. Very nice. I'd like to read more poetry. I'd like to maybe do a stream of just poetry. It's really, it hits in a different place when you can really take time with each line and just explore it. That's that feels really good. That felt really good to read. Thank you, His Door. At any rate, it is time to bid you all adieu. Next Justin Reads, who knows when it will be, but I look forward to it, and I hope we'll have more community submissions. If you continue to write, continue to make new stories, and I look forward to reading them. All right, you lovely, beautiful people. Have a wonderful night. And I'll see you soon. Ciao.